Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Always like to check first up to make sure that we have sound. So if you can hear me okay, if you could just let me know in the chat box so that I know that the audio is getting through to you there. All right, so it looks like the audio is getting through. Thank you so much, Bill, for confirming that. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We've got a bunch of people on the webinar today who have taken some time out from their day, and I appreciate that so much. And I really want to present value to you today. That's the number one thing I want to do. I want you to go away with at least one thing that you're going to commit to do out of the information that I'm going to present you with today, because it does us no good to listen to a bunch of stuff, say we're going to do a bunch of things, and then do nothing. And so I really encourage you to take away one thing. You should have received a copy of the notes in an email I sent out probably about 45 minutes ago. And you can then go in and you can do the notes as we go along, and then we'll just start marching in from there. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. The whole goal here is to really help you get the most from your efforts in 2015. Well, just a little bit of info about me. Some of you on the call I know me. Others may not, but I've got sort of a varied amount of background when it comes to the world of marketing. Started in the whole publishing newspaper, selling advertising essentially, and starting a business from scratch. Then went full-time into marketing after I left that particular business and sold that. And then have really gone full steam ahead into trying to understand what it is that brings people into a business and into the world that you're in, and what we can do to get more of them to go there. Worked for a couple of years at a corporate gig, so to speak. I was able to grow that company significantly, and then just a couple of months ago started in with my own business once again, and just finished certification recently as a duct tape marketing consultant. And some of that information is what's included in the presentation here today. So first thing I wanted to do was just to take a minute to say, really, what is marketing? Because everybody, well, not everybody, but lots of people have varying definitions of what marketing is. My definition is really fairly simple, and it's about how can I get people to know me, to like me, and trust me. And really, if you have a business or if you're in a sales role, some of you have both, in that you own the business and you're the one selling for it, you know how important this is. If people don't know you, they can't contact you. If they do know you and they don't like you, then it's going to be tough to do anything. But if they know you, they like you, and you've built trust up with them, now you have the ability to introduce them to your products and services. And that's where we want to go, and that's what we want to try and accomplish, is to help people know, like, and trust. And you'll see that messaging come up once again as we get further into the presentation here today. Well, here are the questions that I said I was going to answer today, and I shared those with everybody before we got going. We want to try and, oh, by the way, if some of you are still struggling with sound at all, go ahead and call in if you're not getting it through the computer, through maybe using the audio. Try calling in, because that should help solve that, depending on the scenario there. But I want to try to cover these things with you. How do I stand out in a crowded marketplace? How do I get people, like I just said, to know, like, and trust me? How do I become a content king? How do I create a total online presence and what are some of the best lead generation strategies for your business? How do I install a selling system into my business and then make marketing a habit? These are some of the key components that I want to address with you today and help you to see and understand as we march forward with the agenda we have at hand here. Okay, so let's start with the first one. How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you stand out from the crowd? Well, you know what? Small businesses absolutely have to find or create a way to differentiate their business from all the other businesses that claim to do the same thing. I mean, how many businesses, you just have to drive down a street and see how many restaurants there are. Now, admittedly, there are different types of restaurants, so that's a differentiator maybe. But how many Italian restaurants are there? How many Mexican restaurants are there? And you can think about that in so many different fields: collision repair, heating and cooling, and so many other things that are out there. You have to be different from everybody else. Everybody wants to think that what they do is unique, but unfortunately, in most cases, it's something that everyone either can or does claim as well. So here are two things that I would suggest to you that you can do today that would help you to really get your handle around this being different. Now, one would be to do a website test. Cut and paste the first few paragraphs of your top 5 competitors, 3 competitors, and black out all the reference to names or anything that would clearly identify. And then take that document, put it in a document, print it out, pass it around the office, and see if anybody can actually recognize which company each paragraph belongs to. Because what you'll find is that more often than not, people can't even identify their own company because we all sound and look the same. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, you've got to find ways to differentiate. And I think one of the best ways to do that, and my recommendation to you, is to do a customer insight survey. What's a customer insight survey? Well, it's just a way for you to be able to clearly see without a shadow of a doubt what led the people that do business with you, who already know, like, and trust you, to do business with you in the first place. And what that does is it begins to help you zero down on what makes you different. Here are some sample questions on the screen that you could particularly use there. Why did you hire us or buy from us? What's one thing we do that you absolutely love? What's that one thing we do that others don't do? If you were to refer us, what would you say? I absolutely love that question because that right there may be the heart of what really makes you different than everybody else. Tell me 3 other companies you love, and maybe even ask the question why. And then the one-word test. What's one word that you would use to describe us? Most of the time, I find people say, what makes us different? Customer service. Well, guess what? Everybody says that. And when you ask your clients, it's probably not customer service you're going to hear is that one word, service. You're going to hear all sorts of other different phrases that make a huge difference there. Here's a case study that sort of gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. There was an architecture firm, and an architect in that firm, the owner of it, who was asked what he did for a living. He says, I'm an architect. I design buildings, he replied. When pressed further, he bragged, no one else knows how to design a building like I do. Now, I know each one of you could probably say that about what you do. Nobody else does it as good as me. Yet, the reality is when the architect's customers were asked what he did, they said, we expected good design. Good design is just standard. But let me tell you what he really does. And then they went on to explain that he helps them cut through all the city hall red tape, and that gets us paid faster. And you know what? This became a repetitive theme throughout the conversations with the clients. And so now when he's asked what he does for a living, He says, I help you get paid faster. Sure, I'm an architect, but I also help you cut through the City Hall red tape. I'm the contractor's architect. And by embracing his new message, the architect's business went from second or third tier player to the #1 commercial architect in his market. That's the power of differentiation. Okay, so #1, you got to be different. You got to find ways to show that you're different. Okay, #2 now. Let's go on to the next of these strategies. #2, you've got to get people to know, like, and trust you. Okay, we've talked about that. I've mentioned it a number of times. And it's a very important piece of the marketing game, if we can call it that today. So what do you have to do? See, here's the problem. Most marketers are familiar with a marketing funnel, right? You've heard of that. Whole bunch of leads are loaded in the top of the funnel that choked until a few buyers squeeze out the small end. And then with the introduction of Twitter and Facebook and all that, people are even hungrier for leads. The game is always put more in the top and eventually something will drop out the bottom, right? But what good are leads if they aren't converted into sales, repeat business, and referrals, right? I mean, 1,000 leads with no sales is useless. What if through remarkable customer experience, a company had the ability to retain the same clients and generate a significant number of new leads and referrals from those happy customers? When it comes to a lead generation system, the customer experience is it. You see, the funnel is broken. The customer experience is what it is all about when it comes to your marketing funnel. So we've coined something called the marketing hourglass, or the customer journey. And that is all about a logical progression through which every customer comes to know, like, and trust a company. Once that occurs, the customer then decides to try, buy, repeat, and refer. So you see, once you can get them to know, like, and trust, you now are introducing them to try who you are, to spend some money with you, to spend some more money with you, and then, importantly, to tell others about you. You see, there's a lot of different strategies that you can use, and I'm just going to hit on a few here. But to answer the question that I promised up front that I would answer for you, how can you get more people to know, like, and trust you? Well, here are some ideas right on the page right here. To know, this is the who and the how. So you might use ads. You might use articles. Perhaps events might be a way to get people to know you. Perhaps social media would be a way, or networking, or referred leads. But this is the first encounter that they have with you. And obviously, you've got to come up with more and more ways to make those introductions so that they can know who you are. Then once they know who you are, the next step is to get them to like you. And what does that mean? I'm not talking about a Facebook like here. That's really in the no category. Like you means that they start to engage with your content, and they look forward to seeing stuff come from you because they know that it will be of interest. So that might be going to your website, and as they go through your website, they begin to see things that resonate with them, that you understand them, that you know them. Perhaps it could be case studies. It could be the content, like the blog posts you have on your website. It could be the videos that you have on your website. It could also be the content that you're posting on social media that's driving that. Another great way to drive that is an email newsletter. So putting out a newsletter that comes to them on a regular basis that they've asked for, so they can begin to see and engage with you and your content on a regular basis. So you've got them to know you. You've got them to like you. And like is something that is a little more of a time element, depending, of course, on the product and the need. Obviously, the more expensive the product, the longer that time frame can be. Now we turn to trust. So how do you get people to trust you? And really it comes down to being an authority in your field, to presenting yourself as an authority. So the SEO, so when they go searching for you, that you show up, that builds a trust factor. That the webinars and presentations that you might give, the marketing materials that you have, the marketing kit that you produce when somebody asks for more information, that can be a way to build up trust. Creating white papers is a great way to do that. Doing the research to come up with, here's the questions that people have quite often, and here's what we've found the answer to that is. Oh, and by the way, that's something we do. Great way to do that. Video content, when they can, I think video is one of the great ways to market yourself, because you now have the opportunity to somewhat get eyeball to eyeball. And I realize, you know, they can look into your eyes and you can't look into theirs. But when they are looking into your eyes as they're watching that video, now you have a chance to actually present more from the heart. And that is a way of building trust and connecting. Even your sales presentations can be a way to build trust, where you become more of a subject matter expert presenting to them and not a salesperson trying to sell them. So that's a really important part of the process here, is to build that know, like, and trust. Here's the problem. A lot of people's marketing cycle looks just like this. All right, you know me, now buy. Now buy more. Bing. End of story. I often liken this to, you know, a dating sort of a relationship. You know, who would go on a first date, take their date out to a restaurant, have a great meal and all that, with the, and maybe there are some that would, so I guess I got to be careful a little bit here, but with the expectation that on date number 2, the expectation would be that I will propose and we will get married, you know, the next week, and we'll have a happy life going on from there. Most relationships take time to build, and as a result, so does the relationship of marketing. It takes time to build, and we've got to take people slowly to that know, like, and trust, so they really can experience who you are. Okay, let's move on to number 3, the third thing you can be doing, and that is to become a content king. You know, by now, small business owners are tired of hearing the phrase, probably, content is king. As true as it may be, today's prospects instinctively gravitate to search engines to answer all their burning questions. You know, how many times have you Googled things so that you can get a real understanding of a particular topic or content? Yet the mistake that many businesses are making is they're not allowing themselves to be in the mix. No, they're not producing content that it potentially can show up when somebody does do a Google search. And they just aren't going to be found because of that. You know, your publishing efforts, your content, must be focused on achieving 2 very important objectives if you're going to make a difference. And this is the key to becoming a content king. You have to build trust, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but you also have to educate people. You have to be willing to educate people. You know, these 2 categories of content strategy must be delivered through the creation of very specific forms of content, not sheer volume. It's just not about volume. In fact, volume is not as important as quality in this regard. You know, every business is now a publishing business, so you have to start to think like one. So let's look first of all at content that builds trust. I'll give you 2 examples of how you can build trust with people. Number 1, blogs. Yeah, I know. Some people, every time I say the word, they run screaming. Oh, I don't want to hear that word again. But the reality is, blogs build trust. They're a starting point for a content strategy because they make content production, syndication, and sharing so easy. And the search engines love blogs. I can't tell you how many times I've found a particular company when all I was doing was Googling an answer to a question that led me to a blog post that was pretty cool. And then I went looking through the website and I signed up for a newsletter, and eventually I spent money with that company. It's just a process that happens. And you can be in the mix of that as well. Another way you can build trust with content is through social media. You it's the first step in the game so often, is to claim all the free opportunities to create social media profiles on things like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. You need to work out which one is going to be the best place for your audience. If you're B2C, it's probably going to be Facebook, maybe with some Twitter as well. If you're B2B, it's going to be LinkedIn and Twitter. And then there's other new ones that are popping up all the time that are a key element to everything as well that you can be adding into the mix. So what about content? That's content that builds trust. What about content that educates people? Well, what about a point of view white paper? Every business should have a well-developed core story that's documented in the form of a white paper or an ebook that people can download. If you go to my website at getstrategics.com, you'll see there a number of places where you can go and you can download the 7 Steps to Marketing Success. That is the core story and message that I'm presenting to people. 7 steps similar to the ones that I'm presenting to you today. But what else can you do to create educational content? Present seminars or webinars like this one. Today people want information packaged in ways that will help them get what they want. So presentations, workshops, online webinars, offline seminars are tremendous ways to provide education with the added punch of engagement. Huge ways to get that done. Okay, so there's a number of strategies that you can use to become a content king and really blow that out even further. Okay, let's move over to how to get a total online presence now. It's become harder and harder to do that. It wasn't that many years ago that small businesses didn't have that many options when it came to marketing who they were. But now there's so many potential channels, and at the heart of it all is the website. So if you have not been paying any attention to your company's website, you really need to think again about that, because it is at the heart of it all. And being at the heart of it all means that that's where people are going to go look to see if they want to do business with you or not. Maybe one of the first places they're going to go look is there. If they don't like what they see because it's outdated, it's an old style, it's broken, it doesn't answer their questions, you probably have no chance of continuing the relationship from there. Like I said earlier, it's one of the main ways you can build trust. And so it's worth spending the time to make your website develop that trust even further. So some of the different things that come into play on this, when we're looking at building a total online presence, you can see there in the circle some of the different things that come into play. So let me just talk through a few things around that, and you can have a look at that and jot down some of those notes if you want. While advertising was used primarily to create a sale or enhance an image, now it's about creating awareness of your web content. SEO was primarily a function of optimizing a website. It's now important to optimize your brand across all platforms. Lead generation used to consist of broadcasting messages. Now it's totally about being in the right place at the right time. Lead conversion, often considered of multiple sales calls to supply information. It must now supplement web information gathered from the sorts of places that people can go and want to go themselves to get it first. Referrals used to be a simple matter of passing a name along. Referrals now rely heavily, on an organization's online reputation, the ratings, and the reviews that they get. And, while a physical store has always mattered, now the online location for the local business has become a life or death matter. So this total online presence is so important to, at the very least, supplement. In some cases, it is the presence, but at the very least to supplement what companies may be doing in their marketing today. The last thing on this means, is also it's important is that you need to be useful and shareable. If you're looking at your marketing efforts and wondering whether they're doing anything for you, you really need to look at how much your stuff's getting shared. Because if people really like what they see and they hear, they're going to share it with other people. And that's a true indicator of how you may be doing in that online world, in that online presence. Okay, so let's go on to number 5. By the way, there'll be a time for questions at the end. If you've been wondering about some stuff, just jot it down and I'll come back at the end. I wanted to get through all the info first and then happy to come back and answer any questions that you might have. Okay, number 5, finding your best lead generation strategy. Traditional lead generation tactics, like directory advertising, a trade show participation, or a half-page print ad or a full-page ad in the newspaper or whatever it is, are quickly losing appeal with small business owners. And for 2 very good reasons. They're expensive, and secondly, they don't seem to be as effective for lead generation. And, the picture of the stool on this page is a great illustration of what I want you to think about. There's a trio of things that you need to think about when it comes to lead generation strategy. And if you only are using one of them, I don't know if you've ever tried to sit on a one-legged stool, but it's fairly useless. 2-legged stool is only slightly better, but a 3-legged stool is exactly what you need. And those 3 elements all need to be at play in order for your lead generation strategy to truly work best. And those 3 elements are advertising. And by advertising, there's lots of ways to do that. Very targeted direct mail, I think, is still a really good way to be advertising. Online advertising, whether that might be, in some cases, AdWords, but I'm thinking more in terms of maybe Facebook ads, Twitter or LinkedIn ads. All are ways to get people to find out about you. And here's the key thing with advertising. Having had my own advertising business for a number of years, one of the things I quickly worked out was the best way, and really the only way, to use an ad is to drive people online. Good thing about phones and smartphones today is you can do that easily. Drive people online to actually sign up for something. Put their name and email address on the dotted line, so to speak. Now you can give them what they wanted at that time, but you can continue to talk to them over time and not let them come and go as they want, but be able to control some of that in such a better way. The second leg of that stool is public relations. Using the power of the media to share the stories of what are going on in your business, whether that's local, regional, or international, or national. But using PR to really put the message out there and get picked up and to go viral, that is a huge way that you can get lead generation strategies in place. And then sometimes there's a place for paying for it, to actually pay a company to do a PR campaign because of something you've got going on that would make absolute sense to get out there. And the third one of those is referral systems. Building a system, a strategy, a plan for referrals, and not just hoping. I mean, I can't tell you how many people say when I've asked them, how do you get most of your business? Oh, word of mouth. Well, word of mouth is only as good as the people presenting it. And if they've forgotten about you, you've been forgotten about, period. The way to do that is to build a strategy or a system that actually continues to drive referrals. And if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll be happy to share with you some of the referral system programs that I have available that you could have a look at as well. So that's where you get your leads from. Those 3 sources working together and putting that into a nice package that works like that stool with 3 legs. Okay, let's go on to number 6 now. The very important strategy, and you may never have heard of this concept, but you need to install a selling system in your business. Oftentimes the quickest way to make an impact on an organization's marketing results is to go to work on the lead conversion or sales process. It's reality. So installing a sales system, one that everyone in the organization who is involved in selling operates on, is the fastest way to improve overall marketing results. We're assuming that you've also narrowly defined your ideal client already. You've created a differentiator with your business, and you've built trust through educational content at this point. Those are prerequisites. But once you do, here's what needs to happen. You need to create a system that people walk through. Now, this is an example of one. You're welcome to adopt it or come up with your own. But it's important to have a process. So what does it look like? Discovery, first of all. Once a prospect determines they need to know more about your specific offerings, either by way of a demo or a sales call, it's important that you have a set way to present your company to them. All too often, people just sort of play it by ear as they go along. So then we go over to the next stage, which is the presentation stage. Once a prospect determines they need to know more about your specific offerings, either by way of that methodology or whatever, then we've got to be able to present to them in a way that shows you as an expert. Not is a sales presentation, but shows that you truly are an expert in the field bringing this information to them. That is vital on this going forward. So not everybody buys. You finish the presentation and some people say no, or some people say later, et cetera, et cetera. And so you've got to nurture that relationship now. Depending on the buying habits of your ideal customer or sales cycle for your industry, you'll need a systematic approach for keeping leads that are starting an information-seeking process and keeping them warm as they move towards a buying decision. One of the best ways, I think, to do that, one of the great ways to nurture is through an email newsletter or a drip campaign that you drop out to them. So then the transaction happens. Some people forget at this point. For many in the selling, the game, they say, ends when the customer says yes. Your lead generation conversion system must be created in a way that delivers the same experience once a prospect becomes a customer as was delivered during the courting experience. Same with relationships, right? The whole courting cannot stop once there's marriage. It needs to continue in the relationship. And the same goes for your clients and customers as well. And then finally, another step that would work real well is review. How are the results? The selling system won't be complete until you create a process that allows you to measure and communicate the results your customers are experiencing. Here's the bottom line. If you do this effectively, you're not going to have to sell, because people will already be sold by the time they get into this system and be ready to go, or will have eliminated themselves. And that's the bottom line when it comes down to selling and installing a lead conversion system in your business. Okay, so let's go to the last one, number 7. You have to make marketing a habit. I know that is so hard for some people. It's tough to get around to marketing, right? We get it. You didn't start your business because you were dying to get your hands dirty with blog writing, copywriting, selling, et cetera, but you soon found out that your business would die if you didn't do it. So what do? The secret to getting marketing done is to make it a habit. Or, if we may roughly paraphrase Aristotle, what he says, we are what we repeatedly do. Yeah. So if we're not doing it, the chances are that's part of the reason why there's not a lot of activity happening. So I get it. It's tough. I still struggle with it as well. But I put some habits into place in my life that are really helping me to get more done. And here are a couple things that I would suggest you think about doing. First of all is come up with monthly themes. By that I mean choose one marketing need every month and make it your priority. Maybe it's redo your website or write your marketing kit or create a new customer process. Make it the theme for the month. And you can even plan out the next 6 months. Just pick 6 things, one a month, that you're going to get done, and make that your focal point instead of trying to do everything. That's one reason why we stop. We try to do too much. Then secondly, put in some weekly reviews. When it comes right down to it, once you're clear on your marketing strategy, marketing itself becomes a set of projects, right? Just got to project manage yourself. And you begin starting to say at the end of each of the projects what needs to be done next. That's how you can move yourself forward. And then, of course, daily appointments. While you may have many things on your daily calendar already, make it a habit to schedule one time slot a day solely to marketing. And that could be 15 or 20 minutes. That's it. It could be while you're waiting between appointments, as mobile as we can be today. That could be the case. But this is the only way to keep focus where it belongs, on constant advancement and improvement. That's how we keep the focus going forward. Here's a great illustration of exactly what I've been talking about right here. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Save yourself time, energy, and money by making it a habit in your business instead of something that you add on if you have time, and we rarely have time to add on marketing events. So there you have it. 7 things that you can be doing in your business this next year to get huge results out of your marketing in 2015. But it doesn't have to be all 7 things every day, every week, every month. Like I just said, those things can be taken a piece at a time. But just by focusing on one particular piece at a time, every week or every month, you will be doing more and be doing more that actually drives you down the journey that you need to be going on. So what are some next steps? If you're looking for some help on all of this, I've got a couple things that I can do to help you out. I have a course available on my website that you can join. It's called the Marketing Catalyst course. It's 10 lessons that go through these topics and more. Plus you get video training, you get workbooks, you get forms, you get templates, and then I'm adding in every other week a call that you can call in and ask your questions on and get clarification. And the cost to do that is $99 a month or $4.99 for lifetime. You pay $49 one time and you're done. There's the URL if you'd like to follow up on that and go take a look at that a little bit more. Another thing that I have available, which doesn't cost you anything, is some hands-on time with me. It's called a free marketing checkup. It's that, you see there the link on my website where that is. You fill in the form, takes about 20 minutes or so to complete. We'll do a 30-minute call evaluating what I saw in the information that you gave me. And I'll give you 3 solid marketing recommendations from that for free from what I see that I think will really help you as next steps on that. And there's no cost to that at all. I'll also offer you some ways that we could work together if you're interested. And you can go to getstrategics.com/free to find out more about that if you would like. So that's some next steps, some next things you could do if you're interested. Now I want to turn it over to questions. If some of you have some questions that you would like to find out about and so forth, I've got a few that have come in there. I have one question that popped in just as I was talking about what is SEO. I forget sometimes that I don't, I talk language that not everybody is used to hearing on a regular basis. It was answered, thank you. But search engine optimization, basically getting found when you do a Google search or a Bing or Yahoo search, being found and showing up in those particular areas. That's what that's all about. Anybody have any other particular questions they'd like to throw in at this particular time? Go ahead and add it to the chat window there, and I'll be happy to answer them. One of the things that I get asked often is, how long does it take to get all this stuff done? And it totally depends on the company and how much time you have. And how much you've got in place already, because it's not quick, it's not overnight, but I have a great program that I can probably do the entire marketing structure that you need on maybe on a 1 or 2 day process, where you could have in 24 hours, probably in about 16 hours worth of work together, we could have the entire marketing plan set up and ready to go for you there. Or we can take longer to sort of roll it out and work on it. So I've got a question here about seminar, webinar, white papers. I think probably asking what are they, where do they fit in maybe on that side of things, or maybe it's seminar, webinar, or white papers. I'm a believer in coming up with many different ways to get the job done. No, all right, the question is how to write those. Okay, that's a very good question. Really, the way to look at a seminar or webinar, and I'll treat those the same, is I think you want to look at what are the big questions you frequently get in your business. So think about the things that people are saying on a regular basis or asking you on a regular basis, and address them head on. And come up with 5 or 6, 7 different topics that relate to that you could talk about. Now, a white paper on the other side, a seminar and a webinar is about educating people and having all that content out there for them to be able to really understand, and it's about presenting you as an expert as well. But the white paper is more of a research paper. I'd call it the business version of the research paper you would do in school, because a white paper is really about doing the research in your industry, coming up with the stats and the facts and the figures to say why what you have as a solution makes absolute sense. And that might be something you have to spend some time going out and finding out about. Or maybe there's research out there already that you can pigtail onto. But it's about getting the content together and writing probably what's about a 7 to 10 page document that has some great information about that and answers that question and shows the reasoning and research behind it. That's really what that's all about, and I think they're a great way to educate people on that. The other way, of course, is an ebook, and to take your content, your great ideas, the answers to your common questions, and put them in an ebook format that people download when they give you their email address. So, okay. That's all the questions that we've got for today. We're going to wrap this up at this point. I want to thank everybody for taking the time again to come out today and join us. Hope you found this useful for you as you talk about your business and are really trying to get a handle on how to market yourself going forward. There'll be a survey at the end. If you could fill that in, that would be great. If you missed something or need something, just reply to the email that I've sent out to you. I'll be happy to help and answer any other questions you have. And again, if you are wanting to go and jump in on any of the offers that I've got, they're available there on my site. The course is a great course that's truly in-depth and is really a good value at that price. And if you'd like to take the free assessment as well, absolutely, and I'll be happy to spend some time with you one-on-one, giving you some advice and direction on your business. So wish you all a great day, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today, and all the best in your marketing efforts in 2015.